Good morning. It is Tuesday, August 28th, and this is Fox and Friends First. Happening right now at 4 a.m. Bruce Ohr is heading for the hot seat.
That's right. The demoted DOJ official will be questioned about his connection to the controversial Russian dossier.
We are live in Washington with everything you need to know before the fireworks erupt.
And it's all eyes on Arizona and Florida, where polls are set to open just hours from now.
The blockbuster races that are must-wins for Republicans in the critical battleground states.
Oh my
gosh! Oh, you gotta love it. The beautiful moment a soldier reunites with his best friends.
Fox and Friends First starts right now.
So no, honey, I'm good. I can have another, but I probably should not. I got somebody at home, and if I stay, I might not leave alone. No, honey, I'm good. I can have another, but I probably should not. I gotta bid you adieu to another.
I do know this song. It's by Andy Grammer.
Ah, I see that. I don't know that song. It's
what?
A new one.
Really?
Is it old? Is it new?
It's not new.
All right. Good morning. You're watching Fox and Friends First on this Tuesday morning. I'm Rob Schmidt.
Wow, and I'm Jillian Mealy. We are in for Heather Childers. Thanks so much for starting your day with us. Demoted DOJ official Bruce Ohr heading to the hot seat today. House lawmakers returning a week early to grill him behind closed doors over his connection to the infamous anti-Trump dossier.
Doug Luzader is live from Washington with more on the answers that Republicans are going to be looking for today. Hey, Doug.
Good morning. Yeah, this is going to be behind closed doors, but it may get explosive as Republicans try to delve into, let's say, some unusual relationships involving individuals within the Department of Justice. And at the heart of this is DOJ official Bruce Ohr, who has been a subject for President Trump as well. Now, Ohr's wife worked for Fusion GPS, which helped compile the now infamous Trump dossier. Ohr also communicated a number of times with Christopher Steele, the ex-British spy who was the author of the dossier, and that's something this joint committee with both the House Judiciary Committee and the Oversight and Government Reform Committee will delve into.
We want him to confirm what we already know from hard evidence, that he and his wife were part of a conspiracy to, in fact, create this narrative of involvement and wrongdoing by the president relative to the Russians.
Now, Democrats have called this a conspiracy theory, but Republicans believe there is evidence of political bias within both the Department of Justice and the FBI, with individuals actively trying to protect Hillary Clinton during the email probe while trying to target Donald Trump. President Trump, for his part, has called Bruce Ohr a disgrace. Rob and Jillian.
And we will have more on this coming up in the next 10 minutes or so. Stay tuned for that. Thank you, Doug.
And lawmakers are going to be honing in on the communications between Bruce Ohr and Christopher Steele, particularly after the FBI severed its ties officially with the author of the dossier.
Byron York, columnist at the Washington Examiner, says those text messages and emails won't just impact the demoted DOJ official. They could do damage to the Obama Justice Department as well.
The whole idea is, what was the Obama administration doing with Christopher Steele, that former British spy who was hired by the Clinton campaign and the DNC to search for dirt in Russia on Donald Trump? What was the Justice Department doing about that? Steele was dying to get negative information about Trump into the press before the election, so it could affect the election. And he was not supposed to talk to the press, but he did. He did it in September and in October of 2016, right before the election. This is really, really against the rules for FBI sources, so they terminated him as a source. What they did in the months after the election, all the way up to at least May of 2017, was have Bruce Ohr talk to Christopher Steele, then come back to the FBI and tell the FBI what Steele told him.
Now, Bruce Ohr was demoted from the position of Associate Deputy Attorney General back in January.
The gunman who opened fire at a video game tournament was hospitalized twice for psychiatric treatment. His parents' divorce papers revealing David Katz was prescribed antipsychotic psychotic and antidepressant medication as early as 12 years old. Doctors say the 24-year-old struggled in college after enrolling in 2014, and there is no record of him graduating. This as we learned shooting victim Eli Clayton was playing in the tournament to earn money for college. The other victim, Taylor Robertson, was playing to support his family. Robertson leaves behind a wife and young son.
All right, Senator John McCain's final words to the American public revealed in a heartfelt letter that was read by his longtime aide.
I lived and died a proud American. We are citizens of the world's greatest republic. Americans never quit. We never surrender. We never hide from history. We make history. Farewell, fellow Americans. God bless you, and God bless America.
You can see how tough it was for him to just get through that. After bending to pressure and ordering the White House flag back down to half staff, President Trump releasing a statement saying in part, quote, "I respect Senator John McCain's service to our country and in his honor have signed a proclamation to fly the flag of the United States at half staff until the day of his internment." On the Senate floor, McCain's desk, draped in black and topped with white roses, as Senators Mitch McConnell and Chuck Schumer paid tribute to the maverick of the Senate.
President Trump's celebrating a big trade victory after reaching a deal with Mexico to replace NAFTA.
Once signed, it'll be a major first step toward fulfilling a key campaign promise of renegotiating U.S. trade deals. John Roberts breaks down this new agreement.
It was another Oval Office first. President Trump with the president of Mexico on speakerphone to announce a new bilateral trade deal with our neighbor to the south.
They used to call it NAFTA. We're going to call it the United States-Mexico Trade Agreement. We'll get rid of the name NAFTA. It has a bad connotation because the United States was hurt very badly by NAFTA for many years.
Outgoing Mexican President Enrique Peña Nieto was as enthusiastic about the deal as President Trump was. He even said he'd like to give President Trump a big hug, though he acknowledged getting to an agreement was tough.
I am really grateful, Mr. President, and this has, of course, been a negotiation that has taken months. It's been difficult, complex, and a very hard negotiation altogether, with difficult moments, of course.
The biggest change in the trade relationship is rules of origin for cars. 75% of components used to build cars must be made in either Mexico or the U.S. 40 to 45% of auto content must be made by workers earning at least $16 an hour. The deal also increases trade in agricultural goods, keeping tariffs at zero. It all puts much more pressure on Canada to now make a deal. Canada was involved in three-way talks with Mexico and the U.S. before President Trump decided to do a one-on-one with Mexico first. The president is really putting the squeeze on Canada, warning that if the U.S. can't reach a new trade deal with our neighbor to the north, he is prepared to slap significant tariffs on Canadian-made automobiles destined for the United States. At the White House, John Roberts, Fox News.
Michael Cohen's lawyer is now backpedaling on claims he made about President Trump and Russian meddling. Lanny Davis admitting to being the anonymous source that told CNN his client knew that the president was aware of the infamous Trump Tower meeting with Donald Trump Jr., claims the president denied. Davis telling Fox News, quote, "I take the responsibility for not communicating more clearly my uncertainty. I regret the error." Cohen pleaded guilty to fraud charges just last week.
All right, a couple of key primaries today. On the march to the midterms in Florida, Trump-backed Congressman Ron DeSantis takes on Adam Putnam in the Republican primary for governor. The president also endorsing current Governor Rick Scott's Senate bid. Now, he's the GOP favorite to take on incumbent Democrat Bill Nelson in November. A three-way Republican race headlines the Arizona Senate primary to fill the retiring Jeff Flake's seat. And the Trump and President Trump supporting Arizona's incumbent Governor Doug Ducey, who is expected to win his primary today.
More on that later in the hour. The First Lady planting history at the White House with descendants of the past presidents, the granddaughter of President Eisenhower and a fifth-generation grandson of President James Monroe planting a tree with Melania Trump on the South Lawn.
The sapling comes from the original Eisenhower oak that towers over an East Wing garden created by former First Lady Jackie Kennedy. It replaces a tree that fell during a storm. It was a hot day to be out there digging around in the garden.
They did a wonderful job.
Yes, they did. All right, 9 minutes after the hour, in just a few hours, Bruce Ohr will likely be grilled behind closed doors after President Trump slammed his connection to the Trump-Russia dossier.
For him to be in the Justice Department and to be doing what he did, that is a disgrace.
Our next guest says there are two big questions that Bruce Ohr needs to answer right now.
And once again, you're going to need more money the next time you head to the airport. The airline that just increased fees for checked bags. Oh, goody.